The outpost stood alone in the middle of dry land, far from any city lights. Most days were quiet there. The wind moved across the sand, and the only sounds came from machines humming inside the research buildings. He had been working there for almost a year. He was not a soldier or a politician. He was simply a medical officer who believed that every living being deserved care. The night everything changed. The alarms did not scream. There was no explosion. Just a sudden call from the secure wing, asking for immediate medical support. When he entered the room, he expected to see injured staff. Instead, he saw something small sitting on a metal chair. The child did not look human. But she did not look frightening either. She was thin, with pale skin that seemed to glow softly under the lights. Her large eyes moved quickly around the room, filled with fear. 2 guards stood at the door, tense and unsure. The scientist whispered behind glass walls. But all he noticed was that she was shaking. He moved slowly. He lowered himself so he would not appear tall or threatening. He spoke in a calm voice, even though he knew she might not understand his words. He placed a warm blanket around her shoulders. For a moment, she flinched. Then she stayed still. He checked her pulse with careful hands. Her heart was racing. He remembered how children at hospitals reacted during storms or power cuts. Fear was fear, no matter the species. Hours passed. Others came and went, studying screens and data. He stayed. He offered water. He adjusted the room temperature. When she refused to lie down, he simply sat on the floor a short distance away so she would not feel alone. Near dawn, the room grew quiet. Her breathing slowed. She looked at him for a long time, as if trying to understand something. A small device near her neck translated her soft voice into broken human words. "My mother can't stop thinking about you." "Human," the device said. He felt a strange chill. Not from fear, but from the weight of those words. He had done nothing special. He had only tried to help. Outside the glass wall, the observers exchanged worried looks. Inside the room, the child's eyes no longer showed panic. For the first time since arriving at the outpost, he realized this was no longer just research, it was something much bigger. The next morning, the entire outpost felt different. Word had spread quietly that the child had spoken again during the night. Not random sounds. Clear words. And they were about him. He tried to focus on his routine. Reports needed to be written. Vital signs needed to be logged. But before noon, security called him back to the secure wing. The child was restless. She had refused food and would not respond to anyone else. When he entered the room, her large eyes found him immediately. The tension in her shoulders eased just a little. The scientist noticed. They always noticed he kept things simple. He brought a tray with warm soup and placed it on the small table. He sat down on the floor again, giving her space. He did not rush her with questions. He spoke softly about ordinary things, the sunrise outside, the sound of wind against the building, how the air felt cooler today. The translation device rested against her collarbone. After a long silence, she reached for the bowl. Her hands were small and careful. She took a slow sip behind the glass wall. A few researchers exchanged looks of relief. Over the next few days, a quiet pattern formed. She would not speak much to others, but she would listen to him. He began bringing small items from the outside, a smooth stone, a dried leaf, a simple drawing of the desert landscape. He explained what each thing was and why it mattered to people back home. She responded in small ways. Once, she traced shapes in the air that the device translated into simple sentences. She spoke about her world. Tall silver trees, wide open skies. And her mother watching from far away. She observes, the device translated. She studies you. He felt a strange pressure in his chest. He was not trained for diplomacy. He was only trying to make a frightened child feel safe. Later that evening, a senior official pulled him aside. They explained that the child's mother held great influence among her people. Every interaction was being recorded. Every gesture mattered. He returned to the room thinking about that. He wondered if kindness could be misunderstood. He wondered if simple care could carry more weight than he intended. As he prepared to leave for the night, the child looked at him again. Her voice came through the device. Clearer this time. My mother can't stop thinking about you. He did not know why those words felt heavier than before, but he was beginning to understand that this was no longer just about one scared child. It was about trust. By the end of the week, the atmosphere inside the outpost had shifted. Meetings were longer. Voices behind closed doors were sharper. He could feel it even if no one explained everything to him directly. The child felt it too. She had started sleeping through the night, but now she seemed restless again. Her questions, once soft and curious, became shorter. Sometimes she would look at the glass wall for long moments, as if she sensed the tension on the other side. One afternoon, he walked in to find her sitting on the floor, drawing shapes with her finger on the smooth surface. The translation device rested near her shoulder. Blinking slowly, he sat down beside her, not too close. "What are you thinking about today?" he asked gently. She looked up at him. The device translated her quiet reply. "They are afraid." He knew she did not mean herself. Later that day, he was called into a briefing. The leadership team wanted faster results. They wanted more data about her species, biology, technology, weaknesses. Words like leverage and advantage were used. He felt uncomfortable listening. When he returned to her room, he tried not to let his frustration show. But children, no matter the planet, can sense when something is wrong. She studied his face carefully. "My mother watches," she said through the device. "She sees the change." He felt a heaviness settle in his chest. "What change?" he asked, less calm. More fear. He realized she was not just observing him. Her mother was too. Somewhere far away, a powerful leader was judging humanity based on small moments inside this quiet room. That evening, the child spoke again, her voice steady. "My mother can't stop thinking about you. She says you are different from the others." He swallowed. Being called different did not feel like praise. It felt like responsibility. He thought about the reports being written, the pressure building, the possibility that trust could break as quickly as it formed. He was only one person in a system much larger than himself. But when he looked at her, small hands folded in her lap, eyes searching for reassurance, he understood something clearly. If fear guided the next step, everything they had built would collapse. So he did the only thing he knew how to do. He stayed. He spoke calmly, and he chose kindness again. Even when the world around him was starting to choose something else, the tension in the outpost reached its peak one evening when alarms rang softly, signaling an unusual transmission. It was not dangerous, but it was direct. He was asked to communicate with the child's mother. It was unexpected and unofficial, and the responsibility made his heart pound. He entered the room where the child was waiting. She looked calmer than before. Her large eyes followed him closely as he knelt beside her. "They want you to talk," she said through the device. "Yes," he replied. "I need to be honest and careful." The transmission screen flickered, and an imposing figure appeared. The alien mother was taller and more elegant than he imagined, with sharp eyes that seemed to look into him. Her presence was calm but powerful. He felt small and uncertain. He took a deep breath and began speaking. He spoke not as a scientist or an official, but as a human who cared. He explained his life, his intentions, and the simple desire to help the child feel safe. He admitted mistakes, weaknesses, and fears, but also spoke of hope, kindness, and the ability of humans to learn. The alien mother listened silently, her expression unreadable. The translation device carried every word. Then, after what felt like a long pause, she spoke. "She observes. She sees your actions, not your orders. You are different from the others. Your care matters," the device translated. He felt a weight lift slightly. It was more than just a compliment. It was acknowledgement that trust could cross species boundaries. It was recognition that small acts could mean much more than technology or power. The child's hand reached for his. Her voice, soft but clear, came through the device. "My mother can't stop thinking about you," she said again. He realized this time it carried deeper meaning. It was not just about observation. It was about hope. Hope that humans could be more than what the leaders of her species feared. That a simple human could show that kindness was not weakness. When the transmission ended, the room felt lighter. He looked at the child, who smiled faintly. No words were needed. He understood that trust was fragile, but it could grow stronger with each calm moment, each gentle gesture. In each choice to stay true to care, he stayed beside her for a while, letting her draw quietly. Outside, the wind moved across the desert, soft and steady in that quiet moment. He realized the impact of one human's choice, not for science, not for politics, but for a small life who had learned to trust. The morning the child was to leave, the outpost felt unusually still. Everyone seemed to sense the importance of the moment. Machines hummed softly, but there was no loud chatter. The desert wind brushed against the buildings in quiet waves. He entered her room and found her sitting on the small chair, clutching a simple drawing he had made the first day they met. Her eyes were calm yet deep with meaning. She had grown in trust, even in the few weeks she had spent there. He knelt beside her. She placed the drawing in his hand. No words were needed for that gesture. He understood that it was her way of saying thank you. The guards opened the door, signaling it was time to go. She looked at him one last time. The translation device buzzed softly. "My mother can't stop thinking about you. She says you are important," it said. He swallowed hard. The words carried the weight of a promise of trust placed across worlds. He felt proud, not for recognition, but for knowing that simple acts of care had reached someone far away as they walked out. He watched her small figure disappear into the transport bay. She turned once, gave him a tiny wave, and then she was gone. Silence returned, but it was not empty. It was full of meaning. In the following days, reports came back to him. The alien mother had spoken positively about humans, mentioning the small human who had shown patience and kindness. Policies shifted slightly, decisions delayed. Giving more time for understanding and cooperation, he walked through the quiet outpost. Thinking about the impact of a few gentle choices. No weapon, no technology, not even official orders had made this change. It was trust, care, and patience that had shaped the moment. Later, when he sat alone in his room, he reflected on the child's words. They repeated in his mind, soft but clear. "My mother can't stop thinking about you." He smiled faintly. He realized that one human could make a difference, not by power, but by staying true to simple kindness. It was a lesson that stayed with him long after the child had gone. Years would pass. The child would remain a memory, small but profound. Yet every choice he made afterwards carried the quiet understanding that care could bridge worlds, and that even a single life could leave a mark far beyond what anyone imagined.